Woo! That was a perfect countdown. That one played out perfectly. Ladies
I
and
have
gents,
my moments.
welcome back. It is Wednesday, and we get to talk about not only hump day, but we get to talk about getting your mind right. That is a challenge in and of itself. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
The Business Bros Podcast was created for you. Learn from the business professionals who come to share their stories. Find out what's working in business and social media, what's hot and what's not, straight from the mouths of successful entrepreneurs out there doing the real work. And now, welcome to another episode of
Business Bros. Yeah, it is time.
It is that time.
Some fire.
Well, it is a beautiful, however smoky, What Are You Grateful For Wednesday here in San Diego, and I'm grateful to be right here on the Business Bros Pod, where we always bring the heat. Today's guest is someone who can help us get our minds right. Our guest specializes in helping entrepreneurs and other motivated individuals get over the hump and out of their own way. Our guest understands the power of self-created barriers and loves to see her clients maximize their full potential and dramatically increase their effectiveness in both their personal and professional lives. Our guest is a social media influencer who's been ranked in the top 100 most influential realtors in New Jersey, and she shares her wisdom, knowledge, and positivity through her podcast. Joining us today from 3 hours in the future on the East Coast, a fellow podcaster, host of the Juice podcast. Welcome to the show, Pam Christian. We got her laughing. We got her laughing. That's a good start.
Great. This is so funny. I'm like dying this whole intro, so my mindset is ready to go. I hope yours is too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And apparently the studio audience is ready to rock and roll too.
Seems that way.
Right? They've been in the black and white stage for a while. Let's shed some color on their live. Pam, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. This is awesome, guys.
Well, tell me how'd you get started in this whole mindset space?
I didn't start as a career, actually. It just started as healing my own self, healing my life, changing my life, transforming myself, and deciding that I didn't have to just settle for what was in front of me, for the things I had gone throughout my life that scarred me and wounded me and made me this person that really wasn't who I truly am. And that kind of happened throughout my entire life, but I became more conscious of it as I got older and had more experience with it. And at some point when I wanted to leave my career, which was going really well, I didn't know what I was going to do, and I fell into it.
Falling into an entrepreneurial mindset, that is like a regular thing amongst entrepreneurs. Most of us, I feel like we kind of fell into a career, but that is also a problem, right? The fact that, we kind of fell into it, and it may not have been a passion of ours. It may not have been something that, we dreamed about since we were in kindergarten. And sometimes those limiting beliefs or those limiting factors stop us from moving forward. How did you get it? How did you make it into something that you got your mind straight? You set your mind on a particular path to keep going.
I mean, I think the thing is, I'm so in tune with myself that if I don't stay on my path, I just feel awful. And I think that's what most people are missing, because they're so focused on the external. And I don't mean external just looks and all of that, but like validation from outside. And so they've lost what actually matters, which is what they feel and what feels right to them and what feels wrong to them. And then noticing when I'm not feeling good, wait, there's not something wrong with me. Like you're out at a bar and everyone looks like they're having fun, but you're not, but you don't want to tell anyone. There's nothing wrong with you for not fitting into that, because most people aren't enjoying themselves either.
Right.
Tapping back in, and once you get there, you'll never want to stray again. But how do you get there is the question. And that's not an easy path, and it takes time, but it's totally doable.
So how do we do that? Right. Like, I'm 30, I'm 38. I'm 38, right, James? You're going to be 37?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll be 37 in a couple of months.
So I'm 38 years old, and I feel like it wasn't until recently, until maybe this last year or so, that I started to really feel like I'm finding my zone. And even then, I had continued to ask myself questions like, who am I? Like, and trying to define who I am. And recently I've come to the conclusion where trying to define who I am is pointless. Who I want to be is much more relevant. In other words, having that goal in front of me, who I want to become, is much more important to me because it keeps me on the path. Like it helps guide the decisions that I'm making on a regular basis. Is this decision, is this thing that I'm going to do, whether it's, physical, whether it's like, eating a donut, or whether it's, using my time to watch Netflix or whatever it is that thing going to get me toward, closer to or further away from the person I want to become? And so, really trying to really come into grips with that and understanding that that's the mindset that I wanted to be focused in. Is that kind of a good place to be in? Is that where I should be going? Is that what I should be going for?
The answer to that, because of how good you feel and alive you are when you're talking about it. So I don't even think you need me to answer that for you. And that's what I teach people, see it for yourself. But I will, because yes, and yes, and yes. And the sooner you step into it, like you've stepped into it on an you've consciously stepped into it, but it's not in your reality yet. Or maybe it is in yours, but it might not be in someone else's. But just stepping into it is part of creating the reality of it. And you're a partner in manifesting this. Mm-hmm. So you can't just say, oh, I want this and it'll be here. Now you have to take the steps to make that happen, step into it. And when you said I forget, I don't even pay attention to age because it's like just times around Earth. It's a lot of years that you said you've had to work till you got here. And the thing is, you're not at a destination. First of all, you're just at one part of the journey and you're here now. You've been on journey along the whole way. And if you look back and reflect on it, you'll notice different parts where you were like, ooh, this was my revelation about myself. Or, ooh, I decided not to go in this direction. Those are all steps. And you just are becoming more conscious and aware of your steps. So you're noticing now that, oh, I'm here and I like this, but it took me this long to get here, but it really didn't take you that long. You're just working towards it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And we do that in our own careers. I've talked to people who've been in careers for, like my father-in-law, for example, he was in his job for like 43 years, and he's happy where he's at. He's retired. He feels accomplished. Like for me, and that
got your victory dance. Well, I got it right here. Yeah.
Exactly right. So for him, that was a victory. He set out to achieve that. That was the goal, for his era growing up and for what he wanted to accomplish. He's accomplished everything he's wanted to accomplish. So for him, that's a perfect roadmap that he took. For me, that would drive me nuts to be stuck in the same thing over and over again for 43 years. That would never fly, right? And it's kind of hard to say, to tell one person that yes, this is the path that you want to go on, and tell another person the complete opposite. And when I talk to mindset people, sometimes that throws me off, because mindset, to me, James and I have these discussions all the time. Mindset, he's very much, I got to be in the right mindset so that I can be prepared, so that I can go ahead and take action. And me, I'm the complete opposite. I'm like, no, hell no. You take action because you're never going to feel like doing anything. So you take action and then you'll get in the mindset to continue going forward. But without action, you're not going to get in the mindset. James is more like, well, I need to get my mind right so I can take action. What do you think, Pam?
I mean, I think whatever it is for the person, first of all.
So good answer.
Right now, James feels this way and you feel that way. You know what? Maybe I'm just making this up. James is a little bit ahead in the journey. So he's further along, which is not better or worse.
Oh, he's chalking that up. Right?
Dude, I almost had you.
Almost.
That's so funny. But you may get to where you're there and he's somewhere else, or he's still there and you've gotten there now, and maybe not, because you just said something like, how could we tell one person this is their path and another person a completely opposite? But how could we not? We're the same people. We're not all liking Starbucks. I mean, we're not all right. Everyone, but everyone goes and gets coffee and donuts, right? That's the thing to do every morning. I don't. I mean, I'm like tea and green juice, like whatever. And so like, that may be weird to a lot of people, but to me, it makes me happy and it makes me feel nourished. And I'm like James, where I need to be in the state. So I live in that state now. You'll find me not in that state, maybe 15% of the time. And I'm in it 85% of the time. But I used to be a little bit more like you, where I had to ready, fire, aim. And then just get myself there. And so I think it's just, constantly changing, not one better than the worst, just being where you are, enjoying it, noticing it like you do, and then being open to what comes next for both of you.
All right. So what comes next for you, Pam? Like you put yourself in the mindset, you start training people. Are you training people on an individual basis? Are you training people in a group setting? Like what's the pathway to help that you're using to help people get to the mindset that they're looking for?
Well, I mean, I have a lot of different platforms. So like on Instagram, I have 40,000 plus followers, which I feel like that's an impact right there, even if 1,000 people are watching regularly. And because all I do is post things about how to think about life differently, how to think about your environment differently, how to be a critical thinker and not just whatever we're told by society. And I think that's a really good reach. Then I do some individuals. I'm thinking of the word deliberate with the clients I choose, because I think that's like a lot of my energy to give to someone. And I really need to be present in a certain way. And then I do like master classes and webinars and things like that. So I do all of it. I mean, really, I like doing the groups a lot. I mean, I like the individuals too, and I like the Instagram. So I guess I like it all.
I'm a big fan.
I have a question for you, if you don't mind. So one of the things that I'm teaching in our other podcast and our insurance podcast is this idea that you go from invisibility to visibility to credibility, which, these are like the steps. So I kind of want to go back to when you started as a mindset coach. What were the steps that you took to go from invisibility? And you said that you had just fixed yourself. You had just fixed your own life. How did you go from just fixing your own self, your own life, your own mindset to doing that for other people?
Okay, so that's a great question. First of all, I wouldn't say I fixed it. I'd say I healed it, because I think there's a distinction, and I also am still healing. And I want people to know that, because we're always on this process. You go to different levels of healing and you get deeper and deeper, but we're always working on it. So there's no end in it. I just want to be really clear on that. I'm always looking for that end, and I'm always like, that I can't help you. You're not going to find it, but you're going to level up, and it's going to be easier and better and more fulfilling. So that's
when it gets to the end, it's going to be a whole different thing.
Yeah, you don't want to be at the end.
Well, the other side of that, I think, is we're in different parts in our lives in different eras, right? I feel like I'm a different person every 10 years. The person I was in my early 20s or, mid to late 20s even is completely different than the person I am now. My responsibilities have changed. My outlook has changed. In my early 20s, I had no kids. Now I have 2 kids, right? I was with my wife, but she wasn't my wife at the time. Now she's the wife, right? We own a home, we have businesses to take care of. Like everything changes. And sometimes that stuff piles up on you and you don't really see it creeping up until you have that moment where you just explode all of a sudden, right? And you don't know how that happens. How can I, now I'm asking you hypothetically, of course, but how do we prevent stuff like that? What kinds of things can we do on a daily basis to avoid that catastrophic breakdown or meltdown?
That's a great question. And James, I didn't forget your business part of the question.
What are you doing here?
My bad, dude.
What are you doing here?
I gotcha. So I think reflection is key. I mean, if you're reflecting and you're noticing and you're observing, and that is a 2-minute meditation, literally 2 minutes. And 2 minutes every day, though, not 2 minutes. I'll do it once and I expect these results, and meditation sucks because it doesn't work, because I tried it once and nothing happened. I've been doing it for over 20 years. And I mean, I literally live in a different consciousness than I think most of the people, for the good and the bad, because it's like, it's alienating and you're like in different spaces, but also you get to see the world in such a beautiful, magical way. You're not attached. You're not like caught up in all this stuff. Nothing really bothers me. There's not much that could bother me. And I think that's like a really cool place to be. And I think reflection, when you're reflecting, so every night before you go to bed, when you say to your wife, like, whatever, honey, whatever you call her, take 2 minutes. Let's just sit here. That's a meditation right there. Talk for 2 minutes about what your days were like. 2 minutes. You guys probably, I mean, not you, but people they pass and they distract with like, oh, we got to get the kids here. And oh, this game and oh, that game and whatever. Or find 2 minutes alone, 2 minutes. If you give yourself that every day, your life will change. And I mean,
love that.
A lot longer, but what?
I love that. I love that. It reminds me of the compound effect. So I finally remembered, because I'm looking at different books to pick up and read it, and I saw the compound effect in my Audible list, and I'm like, oh, that's where I got it from. But basically, what I ended up doing is last year for my birthday, I decided I was going to write keep a journal, and I was going to write my wife a letter every single night, and it was a reflection of that day, right? So finding all the appreciative things that about her, right? Whether she made dinner or she did something special for the kids or whatever it is that I saw in that day, I took it down and I journaled it. So it's like I wrote her 365 letters, and this year for my birthday, I gave it to her. But it was a big change.
This year for my birthday, I gave it to her.
Yeah, for my birthday, I gave it to her.
So cool.
Right. And so, and to me, that was okay, face it. Yes, that is super awesome. 365 letters, all the chalk up points, right? Those are great points, relationship points, hubby points.
Toot your own horn, why don't you?
Yeah, toot your own horn, right? But really, what you're talking about, it adds to what you're talking about. It was the habit of doing that on a regular basis, to appreciate that person, to get in that mental state where you're looking for some of the good qualities in that other person. It enhanced our relationship is now way better than it was in just that 1 year. And, we've been together almost 20 years. So it's not like, it's not like I don't know things about her. I know her really well, but to focus my attention on the positive, on the things that are going well in our lives, it made the rest of the day better because I was looking at that.
You guys, you guys connected. It's a connection. Also, like, even if it's a spiritual, energetic connection, she may not have known that you were doing it each day.
Mm-hmm.
You could feel it because she could feel your gratitude towards her, and you planned that. And let me just tell you something. You're not ready, aim, fire. I mean, you're not ready, fire, aim. You say you have to get yourself mentally, you just do it, and then you get mentally prepared rather than preparing. But you are a preparer because you planned that.
You're right. I guess I could look at it like that. I get up at 4:20 every morning to go my workout and go run. And I don't, and I'll tell you what, every morning when the alarm goes off, I hate it. And I don't like it at all. But you're right. I do prepare because I put my gym clothes and my running shoes right next to my bed. And that's the first thing I put on when the alarm goes off.
Setting yourself up for success.
Right. I set myself up the day before. You're right. And even though I say, you're right, when you're breaking me down, all right, I'll give you that. Because for me, it's the action, right? For me, when I explain the scenario, I always explain it as when my alarm goes off, the first thing I do is pop up, like sit up. And that's my action. Whether I'm tired, groggy, I don't feel like doing it, it doesn't matter. I pop up. And to me, that's the action going forward. But the way you describe it, you're absolutely right. The first thing I do is put my gym stuff on because I prepared the night before to have that there. If it wasn't there, it'd be one extra step for me not to do.
Or you even prepare the night before to make sure that when you get up, you pop up.
Right. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And because you want to feel good. You choose it. You want to feel good. So like that's how you feel good. So I think there's a lot of preparation. Should I answer your question, James?
Yeah. Let's go back to that business question. I'm sorry.
Go back to that. I'm always up for good conversation, but yeah.
All right, what was the 3 things you wanted?
No, well, the steps for us are, invisibility to visibility to credibility. So how did you make that journey?
Oh, right. Okay. Kind of got to fake it till you make it a little bit. Mm-hmm. So you have to buy it. You have to believe it. You don't have to have every degree and every credential to step into that space. And so, I did go get my certification for coaching because I don't want to be a coach without the credibility of that and the foundation so that I know what I'm doing. I know how to coach without a coaching degree, but just so I know what I'm doing. But so I stepped into that. Every single self-help, self-development, spiritual book that I could get my hands on. I was a voracious reader before this. But I really wanted to know what I was dealing with people. And I didn't want to know from the textbooks in schools. I wanted to know from people like Ram Dass and Pam Christian and Anthony Robbins. And whether you like him or not, come on. Mm-hmm. That guy, seriously.
Very motivational.
Yeah. Totally, people like him, people don't like him, but you got to respect him.
Yes. 100%, like Tom Brady.
Exactly.
That was good.
John Maxwell, leadership books, every leadership, Wayne Dyer, just all the main people. And so I meditated for hours each day, hours and hours, to really get in tune with my energy, my alignment, who I am, what I could offer others, how I wanted to serve, raise my vibration, raise my energy. So it's always up to here, so that if someone takes from it or I let someone pull from it, it's not down here going to empty. It's just going a little here, which for me doesn't feel great, but I can still be there and show up for my kids, for my friends, and for my clients.
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge. Well, let me expand on that a little bit, because you mentioned a couple of people, and one of the authors that I stumbled upon is Brene Brown, and she's very much a vulnerability person, right? And I love her books. By the way, if you any of the books, she reads them herself. She's so funny, because her vulnerability is basically what I got out of it is be yourself. Like, don't be afraid of who you are. You are who you are. Your habits and your, everything you do, your quirkiness about you is what makes you you, but realize that other people are feeling the same way and acting the same way and have the same, what does she call them? The vulnerability demons. I forgot what she calls them. But and I was going to ask you about the whole idea of vulnerability and being able to open up to people. I know as a professional, once you've gotten to yourself to the point where you're vibing at that high level, it's easier for you to be vulnerable, because you've conditioned yourself to have that state. But to get other people to open up, that is a difficult thing. How are you addressing the vulnerability aspect of what you do?
Well, first of all, being vulnerable is very hard for me. I do it and I push myself to do it because I know how good it is for me. Mm-hmm. And I know what's on the other side, whether the outcome is what I want it to be or not. So filled with like juice and good stuff for my healing and everything like that. So I like put myself in that position. I'm like, okay, I have an open wound and I'm going to go bump my knee on a coffee table corner. I do it to myself, but because when you do that and you become vulnerable and realize you're not going to fall apart if it doesn't happen the way you want, you're in a position of power. And for my clients, and not just my clients, my loved ones, my friends, people on the street, strangers, people I don't know, I hold space in whatever way I can. So my daughter and I were driving the other day, and a woman was at right outside of the grocery store walking around with her cart, aimlessly, looking a little like off and everything. And I just pulled up next to her. She was older. I asked her if she needed help. I asked her if she needed to get the groceries in her car. She declined completely. But that was a vulnerable moment between the two of us, because she didn't probably love being pointed out that she needed help. And I was offering something that she could reject. But I do that type of stuff. But then also I have a client who calls and needs me, and it's listening. It's closing your mouth, and it's not about coming up with the answer or resolving. It's letting them have a safe space, no judgment, no questioning, to pour out to you.
That's a great skill to have, by the way, for a podcaster. So you have your podcast out here. I'll be honest, that's one of the greatest things that I've learned from podcasting. So just in general, podcasting has been the greatest prospecting tool I've ever come across. I get to meet people like you, which is super amazing. But on the flip side, the communication factor, people are like, "Oh, you're a really good host. You do a good job on the whole podcast thing. What's your secret?" I'm like, "I listen." I decide to be more interested than interesting, right? That's what one of my guests taught me.
Line today.
Yeah. And then that's a skill in and of itself. That's what you're talking about there, right? Is where you're having a two-way conversation, but in reality, it's really, you're listening more than you're trying to speak. Because if you truly listen to people's words and what they're saying, you can, it's funny, read between the lines, but there's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of truth to what they're saying and how they're feeling and what they really mean, if you really intentfully listen to what they're up to. How's that skill helped you in the podcast space?
Oh, well, first of all, it's called in coaching world level 3 listening.
Oh, I'm level 3. I don't know what 1 and 2 are, but I'm level 3.
Basically what you're saying, like not listening to in between the lines, listening to the words, getting caught up in that rather than what's really going around, the body language, the other words that are coming out. What was your question?
So how did that listening? Yeah. Speaking of listening, how did that help you in becoming a podcaster?
Well, I mean, all I'll say is almost every guest has broken down on my show. And I'm not saying that that's a testament to me or anything like that, but I do feel like that tells me that they feel really safe. And that's what's most important to me.
You know, it's funny how, and here's one of the things, I don't know how it is. Maybe it's just the way I'm wired. I have no idea, but I'm not big on crying. And it's not that I try, right? It's not that I try not to cry. It's just that situation, that feeling doesn't come out in me as much. There's one time that there's actually two times in the last, I don't know, 20 years or so that I remember crying, right? And one of them was the wife and I were dating at the time, and I decided that, you know, I needed to make sure she was the right one. So I broke up with her, and in the process of breaking up with her, I was bawling. And she tells me, you know, we talked about it too, and she's like, why were you crying if you were breaking up with me, right? And I couldn't pinpoint it for a while. And then later on in life, I told her, I go, maybe it's because I felt like, you know, my kids were erasing from my future, or, you know, the life that we were having was erasing from my future as I was telling you that we needed to break up. I have no idea. That's the label I placed on it. Another time I was crying was I had a dream that my little brother was shot and killed, and I was there with him, and I was holding him, and as he died. And I remember waking up from that dream like bawling. I couldn't control it. I went to the bathroom, tried to wash my face, and I'm looking in the mirror, and it's just continues, and I'm like laughing, crying at myself, like I couldn't expect it. Last year, was it last year?
Yeah, it was a year ago.
Last year, my little brother was shot and killed, and he was alone. And now, you know, and I had told a lot of people that story that I had that had happened. Now I feel like, well, maybe my consciousness was with him, and so I was there with him when that occurred, and that's why I felt it so much when I was younger, because I don't know, in some realm, maybe I was there. You know what I mean? So I don't know why the feeling of crying doesn't come out for me as often, but it does happen, and when it happens for me, it's almost uncontrollable. Like I can't control it; it's just there. I told you two stories, and I don't really have a question, but I just kind of want to get your opinion on that.
I think there are a few things. One, hopefully you both know that it's totally fine to cry, whether you're a male or a female. Okay.
I'm a crier.
James is a crier. Yes.
I'm crying. It's totally fine. I'm glad you're a crier. So as long as you know that, then not everyone cries. Like you can break down in other ways. You can show your emotions in other ways, just like you can say, I love you without saying I love you. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, though, you might just have a lot held up and held inside that you're not even aware of right now. And you probably do. And what happens is that you get a release at one point, and you release a lot more than what's really probably happening in the moment, or it just all pours into that. And it's like, phew, he finally let me cry again. And I'm all out right now.
It's funny because I talk to myself, so the fact that myself answered that way, that would make sense. No, but that's some crazy stuff. Like the human body and the way our mind works is miraculous to me. You know, like the something as simple as a pain, right? I prick my finger, and that sensation immediately goes to my brain. The synapses are firing. Or how you feel at the end of the run when your endorphins are flowing. You know, all these different things that our body has, and we barely scrape the surface on some of these things, right? Batman level skills for real, right? And we barely scrape the surface on some of these, but being consistent, like we were talking about earlier, having the consistent idea of whether it's journaling, whether it's meditating, reflecting, however you want to do it, doing these little tricks they're not tricks, they're little things that you want to do on a regular basis, really help shape your mind and put you in a position where you can win. We got a few minutes. Can you give me a few tips that people can do on a regular basis, a couple different things maybe, to help get them in a good mindset to take on the day?
Of course I can. I was hoping you would ask. Okay, well, first of all, it's all about gratitude.
Yes. What are you grateful for Wednesday?
Oh, yeah, I heard that at the beginning. Yeah, we all have a whole lot of things that we could complain about. every single one of us. And we can focus on that. And when we do, guess what we get more of? More of that stuff. That's where your attention goes. That's where energy flows. And so you could also focus on, even if you find one good thing, you have your life, you have your toe, whatever it is, you find a few good things. They could be so small. What I do is my cousin and I send each other a gratitude list every morning, 10 things we're grateful for. I have my clients do that. They send me a gratitude list just so they can get it out and have somewhere for it to go. And when you start focusing on the smallest things that you're grateful for, you're going to get more of that. Again, consistency, give it time. Don't expect you wake up tomorrow, I'm grateful for this, this, and this. And oh my God, my life is magical now. It's not going to It just isn't. Okay, so that's one thing. Hydrate. Water, 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 water. I don't care if you have coffee, have soda, whatever. I care if you have soda, but whatever.
Yeah. Keep drinking that motor oil.
Yeah, exactly. But water is lubricating to the joints up here, the neurons, the synapses, the cartilage, all that stuff. It needs to be watered like a plant so you can be nourished. When my kids were young, I would take a dry erase marker. And if you guys have young kids, I would totally do this. Go into their bathroom. They're sleeping the night before, whatever, right? I am beautiful. I am confident. I am strong. I am amazing. Nice. I am powerful. They go into the bathroom in the morning, brush their teeth, look at the mirror. They're reading, I am powerful. That's what there's going in their minds. So I did that for my kids for many years. I think that's a great one. Journaling, meditate every single day. Every single day, find something that nourishes you, that you love to do. Take a walk, listen to music, have a dark chocolate bar, go sit in a park, go do something that fills your tank up every single day. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's scrolling on positive sites like mine and yours on Instagram, do that. Whatever, listen to podcasts, read good books. I could keep going on and on. Do you want me to?
Oh man, those are great lists. By the way, the water thing gets really underrated, but if you're thirsty, there is nothing that quenches your thirst like water. Personally, I drink water all day long. The only reason why I have this little bottle one is because I left my water bottle in the other room. But normally I have, exactly. I have something like that. And you'd be surprised most times when you get that 3 o'clock feeling where you're like sluggish and you're tired and you don't really feel like you have the energy, drink water. It's almost like you can feel it revitalizing your body as you're drinking it. Drink a cup, drink 2 cups. I promise you, it's almost always a dehydration issue. Same thing with exhaustion. Same thing with that headache feeling that you have. Those are
that bad mood.
Yes.
Like that cranky, you think you're hangry, but you're thirsty.
Yes.
I
like that. That's a great one. That's a great one. I'm using that. You're not hangry, you're thirsty.
Love it.
Like the water, if you don't like it, like so many people are like, either I don't like water, or I'm not thirsty. Who cares? Just drink it. You don't have to like it. Like I drink a green juice every day. I don't like my green juice, but I like that my skin is clear and I'm vibrant and happy. Drink it for those reasons. You don't have to like the taste of everything.
Exactly. You were told that broccoli tastes really good as a kid. No, you don't really like it that much, but you eat it anyways because you know it's good for you. And besides, water tastes like nothing.
Yeah,
so
I know.
Okay.
People are like, I hate water.
That's the weirdest thing.
I hate water. Put lemon in it.
Whatever you need to do.
Get in my belly.
Yeah. It's a perfect clip, man. Perfect clip.
Oh, it's perfect. That's so funny.
All right, Pam. Real quick, can you tell the audience a little bit about what they're going to find on your Instagram, what they're going to find, and where to find your podcast?
Yep. Podcast, Spotify, Apple, it's the juice. Instagram, you're going to find videos of me doing things like I did today, talking about that type of stuff. You're going to find mini series. I do 8-week mini series on different topics, lots of motivational, positive, inspiring quotes on my stories. I do Mindset Monday, midweek Wednesday, little videos. So just all sorts of fun things like that. And check it out.
Awesome. 100%. You have been a blast to have on the show today. So thank you for coming aboard, spending a few minutes and sharing what you got with us and our audience. Really appreciate it.
Me too. Thank you so much.
All right, ladies and gents, we will see you again tomorrow. That's all we got for you guys today. Peace.
Bye-bye.
And we're out.
Thank you for listening to the Business Bros Podcast. Are you looking to get more clients or to increase your income? Hernan, the business bro, can help you generate referrals through the power of podcasting. And James, the insurance bro with Pipeline Insurance, can help you effectively add insurance to your existing business. If you are ready to create wealth today and generational wealth for tomorrow, email businessbros@csfirst.com to schedule a free consultation or join the Business Bros Network, www.businessbros.biz.